Very good morning. Today in this video we'll be discussing the 4 articles of the Hindu editorial page. Today is 20th June 2020. The first article is regarding the Manipur mandate, the gross abuse of Manipur mandate. There were 2 articles regarding the Manipur politics. Second article is regarding the Tamil Nadu government, how the traffic rules have curbed in the new lockdown. The final article is on the Koreas and the US crisis in peninsula. Before I begin, I request you all to subscribe to my channel. I am Prashant. I welcome you all to Education Stuff by Prashant Konala. The first article is regarding the gross abuse of Manipur mandate. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, a parallel crisis of democracy is unfolding in Manipur, one of which had to reflect on the state of Indian democracy in general, where the mandate of the people decided at periodic elections is increasingly being allowed to be twisted by the turncoat elected representatives to serve the end of their unique and prostic power game. So endemic had defections became that the law, the 10th schedule, was introduced in 1985 by the 52nd amendment of the constitution, but when the loopholes in the law were being explained or exploited to make it irrelevant, it was toughened in 2003 by 91st amendment of constitution. That the country's leaders have to be restrained, thus it is itself a disgrace, but in recent time it is no longer a question of dodging the law, but of overturning the very idea of the rule of law by those in power. The Manipur cases illustrate this very well. Government formation. In 2017 assembly elections, Manipur saw a hung verdict, with the Indian National Congress emerging as the single largest party of the 28 states in 60-member house, now 59 after one disqualification. The BJP was second with 21. For inadequately unexplained reasons, the state governor Najma Heptullah decided the most stable post-poll alliance would be the one the BJP led, though the party needed to support at least 10 non-BJP MLAs to be in the majority position rather than the Congress, which needed just 3. The BJP did manage to forego an alliance that exceeded the majority mark, but at the cost which it is discovering is it was too low. The ceiling on the Manipur cabinet set by the 10th schedule in 12, including the chief minister. Of the remaining 11, 7 had to be given away the allies to secure their loyalty, 4 to National People's Party, that is NPP, and 1 to each of Naga People's Front, the Lok Jan Shakti Party, and the first Congress MLA to defect to the BJP, leaving only 3 cabinet berths for the BJP-owned legislators besides the chief minister. Luckily for the BJP, most of its veterans did not win in the last election, and a great number of those who did very first-timers whose demands were not always seriously for the ministerial berths. A partition politics. Nearly 3.5 years down the line, after the initial euphoria of being part of the ruling formation have long died down, many BJP MLAs are now obviously concentrated with the reduced protest of re-election from their constituencies if they went to the polls as mere camp followers. Hence the internal fraction with the ruling party have been visible for the past few months. Another development after BJP assumed power was that the 7 more Congress MLAs defected to the ruling side, bringing up the total number of Congress defectors to 8. They were also obvious hoping for some official position to share the spoils of power, but nothing had been forthcoming for them. Hence, other than the first defector who was observed as a cabinet minister, the later 7 continued to sit in the opposition benches but voted along with the ruling. The jumping ship of the BJP, however, has more to worry now. It is also beginning to the lose of its partners. The biggest of this is NPP, which has 4 MLAs in assembly. The party walked out to BJP-led alliance and pledged support to the opposition Congress on June 17th along with them. On MLAs of the Trinamool Congress and independent MLAs also jumped ship and joined the Congress camp. Almost at the same time, in the curious turn of events, 4 of the 7 Congress defectors also decided to return to the Congress camp. If they remained not disqualified and if they were allowed to vote, it had become a foregone conclusion that BJP would lose the Rajya Sabha seat, but in the morning these 3 defectors still are in BJP camp, although there is a High Court directive that the hearing should not be before the Rajya Sabha election and exonerated them so that they could not vote. Even if the BJP, with the help of Speaker controversial rulings, wins the Rajya Sabha seat, the trouble of the coalition can hardly be said to be over. One of it's extremely likely that the interventions would come from the High Court on the election and selective disposal of the disqualification cases, as well as the Speaker's tribunal overruling the High Court directive. 2 of its opposition is now demanding no confidence motion against the government. It remains to be seen where this will lead to, or if those with the reins of power, which will allow not partition decision of assembly at this moment, though it doesn't seem a law has to become what those in the power want it to be. There can be no dispute there is a danger in the law of being made a subordinate function of power. It cannot be done, and the better explained in the Robert Bowles 1960 classic A Man of All Seasons, when presented with an opportunity to assert his opponent and tormentor. Thomas More refused to go ahead, saying that the man had not broken any law. When his young assistant William Roper challenged him whether he would give the devil the benefit of law, he said he would. And when Roper deferred to say that he would cut every land of Egypt to get at the devil, more famous retort was, "Oh, and when the lost law was down and the devil turned around on you, and where did you ride, Roper, the law all being flat? Yes, I did give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake." The Manipur BJP seems to be wrestling to fight its own original demon now. This is regarding the politics in the state is a fine example of law being made, the gross abuse of Manipur mandate. The second article is Lockdown, a second chance for Tamil Nadu. With around 50,000 confirmed cases of novel coronavirus in the state, on June 19, the Tamil Nadu has the second number recorded after Maharashtra. Delhi closely follows around 50,000 cases. The number of new cases recorded in Tamil Nadu, especially in Chennai, has been steadily rising. Tests too have increased from 87 on May 20 to 666 on June 19th, and a 16-fold increase. Where there was 3 deaths on May 20, the figure increased steadily but remained under 20 till June 12th. For more than 13,000 total cases and 743 fresh cases reported on May 20, the state crossed around 50,000 mark on June 17th, and a record of 2,174 fresh cases on that day. But the state has to be increasing the number of tests carried out each day since May 20. From 11,000 tests on May 20, Tamil Nadu had ramped up testing of each passing a day, reaching around 25,000 on June 17th, a sharp increase of 9,000, that is 9,000 odd cases of the previous day. On June 18th, it witnessed a further increase of 26,000. So far, Tamil Nadu had carried around 8 lakh tests on June 18th. The test positivity rate, which has been steadily increasing since June, reaching the peak of June 9th, around 12.7%, have been reducing since June 14th, and the number of tests each day have been climbing. A high test positivity rate reflects either a good surveillance or a high spread of the virus in the community. According to Professor Giridhar R. Babu, head of Life Course Epidemiology, Institute of Public Health Foundation of India in Bangalore, it could be a combination of good surveillance and higher prevalence of the virus in the case of Tamil Nadu, but he is quick to add this surveillance could have remained constant and not drastically changed in a matter of few days, and hence the number of test positivity is more reflection of higher prevalence of infected people in the community. The most important departure of that the Tamil Nadu needs to make is to be actively look for the case in Chennai and certain parts of the three adjoining districts, that is Chengalputta, Kanchipura and Tiruvallur, where the most cases are being reported. There is a compulsion to carry out door-to-door surveillance and test anyone who sees or who shows one of the 15 COVID symptoms recognized by the Health Ministry. And the important shift is the strategy should be in testing widely without insisting on a personal travel history or contact with known positive cases as a prerequisite for testing. Aggressive testing and isolation of infected people alone will be insufficient to contain the spread of unless it is carried out in a short span of time. Lessons to be learned from Dharawai. While the majority of the cases of the state are restricted to Chennai and their three adjoining districts, thus making the task of containing the spread relatively easy, the areas in Chennai where more cases are being reported are those that are chock-a-block with the people. The crowded neighbors enable easy spread of the virus is the reason why aggressive screening, testing and isolation need to be carried out in the double quick time. If the virus spread in Dharavi, Asia's largest slum in Mumbai, can be controlled, there is no reason why Tamil Nadu cannot achieve the same feat. Proactive screening, door-to-door, aggressive testing, quarantining of people suspected of the infected and isolation of those testing positive help contain the virus spread in Dharawai. In addition, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation established a few clinics for the early detection of the cases. This is in lockdown a second chance for Tamil Nadu to be effective in COVID-19 measures. Then another article is regarding Manipur politics. The politics in Manipur has come under a fresh turmoil following the withdrawal of support of Bharatiya Janata Party led by the government from MLAs belonging to the National People Party, that is NPP, to independent and defections by 3 BJP MLAs to the opposition. The Brain Singh led government had probably now been reduced to be the minority. The uncertainty in the number of 59 member assembly had been due to the several defections in the last 3 years, beginning with the former Minister T. Shyam Kumar's shift of alliance from Congress to BJP in 2017. This enabled that the BJP only 21 MLAs to be forming the government with the support of NPP, the 4-member Naga People's Front and the independent and the MLA belonging to the Trinamool Congress. The defections of Mr. Shyam Kumar, who went on to become a minister in ruling cabinet, was not ruled on it for disqualification for 3 years before the Supreme Court intervened, stripping the minister for his post and banned him for entering the assembly in March 2020. Subsequently, the speaker disqualified him. 7 more MLAs and the Congress had defected that the BJP since 2017, and the speaker has not yet a rule on their disqualifications. On Friday, only a select number of those 7, and most of whom had not gone back reportedly to the opposition fold, were allowed to speaker to vote in the Rajya Sabha elections, which results were disputed by the Congress. This might not survive a legal challenge, but the whimsical challenges and changes in the loyalties have once again opened the doors for the Congress to stake claim to form the government. The Shinghanis in Manipur are not unique in the state. The examples of Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh are most recently, Arunachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand earlier, show that the utter failure of anti-defection law in curbing the brazen subversion of electoral mandates by legislators who get elected on the tickets of one party but do not find the inconvenient to the shift to another due to the lure of ministerial berths or financial gains. If the role of speakers who had the authority to decide upon the defections had been utilized by the ruling party to engineer defections without inviting immediate disqualification in some cases. Legislators have also adhered to the law in the letter, if not the spirit, by utilizing the options of outright resignation. This begs the question whether the anti-defection law actually serves any purpose today. In the absence of any amendments to the law suitably, the only disincentive for the defectors is possibly that the voters might punish them in by-election. This is regarding the Manipur politics. Then the article is regarding the crisis in peninsula. By blowing a joint liaison office on the border with South Korea and threatening to deploy troops along the demilitarized zone, North Korea is back to what it is best at: aggressive posturing with the threat of war. Troubles began in peninsula early in the year after the deadline of North dictated to the US to achieve the progress in the denuclearization talks expired on December 31st. North Korea has conducted missile tests this year, sending warning signals to Seoul and Washington. The latest crisis was triggered by anti-North defector group that sent propaganda leaflets via balloons across the border. Angered by South Korea's refusal to crack down on them, Pyongyang has served hotlines, demolished the liaison office, and is planning to deploy the troops along the border. Tensions now risk rolling back or whatever little have achieved through the engagement over the past 2 years. South Korean's Unification Minister Kim Yon-chul resigned on Friday, and Seoul have also moved to charge the defector groups. But these moves are unlikely to ease tensions, as the real problem is still in the talks. 2 years after US President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong met in Singapore to discuss the denuclearization, little has to be achieved in that direction. It is likely that the North is now trying to get back to Trump's attention. There was no hopes of quick solutions to the US-North Korean rivalry. It goes back to 1950 to 1953 Korean War, where Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim met. Still, the summit was an opportunity to open a new direction in relations. Mr. Kim had the principle agreed to denuclearization in return for lifting of American sanctions, but the talks stalled as the US insisted on complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization by North Korea in return of any concession. The North Koreans were wary, particularly because of US history of going after dictators such as Saddam Hussein of Iraq and Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, or its breaching of Iran nuclear deal. Mr. Kim regime offered a state approach. It put a freeze on nuclear tests and offered a shut off Yongbyon nuclear complex. The US and South Korea could have responded to these measures and kept the talks on track. On the less contentious issues such as declaring a formal end of Korean War, both Korea are still technically at war. An agreement could have been achieved at a confident willing measure. But the road was not taken worse. The US and South Korea went ahead of their joint military exercises. Mr. Trump is now grappling with many problems at home, from coronavirus outbreak and a sagging economy and anti-racism protests. Still, if he does not want his 2 summits with Mr. Kim to be a mere footnote of the history, he could take the measure to revive the talks with North Korea and push the peninsula back to normality. This is regarding crisis in the peninsula, how Trump is going to take a decision regarding the Korean issue. That's the end of article discussion. If you are new to my channel, my Facebook page, I have given all the links in the description so that you can be in touch with me. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.